What are some questions that come to mind to ask your farmer, to get to know your farmer, to, create that connection with the food?
I want to turn this on its head a little bit. I think that this is a question we ask oftentimes, and I want to propose something a little bit different. I think one of the best questions you can ask your farmer is, what can I do to support you? Is there any way that I can help you if you have the time to do so? I think that we have a food monolith, a little bit less a system, a little bit more of a monolith. A system implies a sense of interbeingness and interconnections and interdependence. And there isn't a lot of that in our current food paradigm. And you have farmers and ranchers in particular that operate on average at 1.5% margins. Like that is the national average. And so they are one disaster away from losing their farm. And they are existing in isolation with a huge burden of producing food and a lot of negative press. And I think that they could use a hand or support. And so I would love to see that be one of the first questions we ask our farmers and ranchers outside of all of those questions about how they raise their food. Ask about them. Not that
Mm,
I don't think that the latter is important too.
yeah, yeah. So for you as a farmer, as a rancher, how can people support you?
Hmm. Gosh, you know, we would love if people in our community occasionally came together and helped to put up hay to help us do
Mm,
jobs that are too big for just the two of us. Um, Even if they were just giving, an hour of their time. And I think to be seen, like, oh, I see you out here every day working, and just I see that you're doing that. And I imagine it probably feels hard. Like, I think just those two things would go a very long way.
yeah, yeah. I don't think we realize, as me being a non-farmer, we don't realize the work that goes into farming and the importance of
Yeah.
farming.
Yeah.
There's a sticker on a vehicle that I see all the time that says, like, you have to thank your farmers for beer,
Mhm.
and it's something that you don't think about. Like, farming contributes to so many things
Yeah.
that
And
are necessary.
all the hands that touch our food, right? Because I think underneath the layer of just your farmers and ranchers that might own a piece of property are all the farm workers that pick our food, that do incredible amounts of labor for our food, and we are dependent on to have beer, to have strawberries, to have these things that we take for granted.
Mm,
And in some ways, I'm really interested in exploring not just the health element of asking this, is it grass fed or is it regeneratively raised, but to explore also the human element
mm.
of how we can support humans in a system that isn't functioning very well.
Yeah, yeah. That supporting humans in a system that isn't functioning very well. What that feels like for me is that interconnectedness, coming back to that, where you're not isolated working the fields
Mhm.
on your own, like that community aspect
Yeah.
coming back.